welcome to a new video on my channel. Today we are going to be talking about what I'm going to be reading over the month of October, my October hopefuls, my TBR game that I'll be participating in. It won't be the TBR jar again, I'm sorry. If you've been following along my journey of reading this year, I have my own TBR jar game where I draw 6 prompts out each month from a jar. This month I'm going to be doing something very exciting with a good friend of mine. I have 2 things I'm going to say really quick before we get into this video. One, I am sick. I am recovering, but if I sound nasally, it's not on purpose. I do apologise. I'm just not well at all. And the second thing is, she's quiet right now, but she's been really noisy. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Shell, and I have the most needy, clingy dog in the world. Her name is Octavia, and she makes as much noise as possible whenever I start talking. I have filmed this intro a few times now, so she has gone quiet, but it might be some point in this video where she starts to play up by playing with the loudest toys that she can possibly find in my room, or whining. So I'm just letting you know that may happen. Hopefully she's gone quiet. She's on her bed right now, so fingers crossed she'll be quiet. But I just wanted to point out those 2 things, that I'm sick and that my dog could make some noise. Anyway, back to what this video is about. Every month I do a list of 10 books that I'm going to read over the month and try and pledge to reading them. Some of them come from a TBR game, some of them come from just wanting to read them, and let's get in real quick to how that went for the month of September. So for a chance card, which meant whatever was on the back of the card had to be the book that I read, I ended up pulling Only a Monster by 𝓤𝓲𝓭𝓮, and this was a very easy 5-star read. Loved it. For dice roll, which was you had to roll the dice, and whatever number that landed on corresponded to a certain amount of books that you could, a certain amount of pages that you could read in a book. I landed on 9, and that was between, I think, 425 to 475 pages, give or take. And I read The Assassin's Blade novellas by Sarah J. Maas, and I gave this 3 stars. I landed on The Board of Summer, and that meant I read The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armez, and this was a reread. The first time I read it, I gave it 5 stars. The second time through, I've given it a generous 4 stars, more likely a 3.5. Continuing on with another romance read, I then read The American Roommate Experiment, again by Elena Armez, and for the contemporary romance the contemporary romance card that I pulled out of the TBR jar game, because I landed on TBR game on the board and chose to use my own game. Then we ended up with colour, and we had to use a random generator to get a colour. The colour was mint turquoise, and this was the closest book that I had on my shelf. It is Shatter Me by 𝓤𝓲𝓭𝓮 𝓤𝓲𝓭𝓮, and I gave this 2 stars. Probably more like a 1.5, but the fact that I finished the book is the reason I gave it 2. Multi-perspective was the next prompt, and I read The Queen of Shadows. I gave this 5 stars. It's also by Sarah J. Maas, and it has many point of views within this series and this book. And last but not least, I had to read a book that was under 300 pages long, and I read The Love Connection by Denise Williams, and I also gave that 5 stars. Okay, so now I get to talk about the most exciting readathon that I am going to be participating in this month, and that is the Bookish Spookathon by my dearest friend Millie. Her name is Camilla Reads on Instagram, and I will have her account and the announcement to this Spookathon linked in the description below. So let's get into what this Bookish Spookathon is all about. I'm only going to talk about the TBR portion of the Spookathon. The photo challenge is very self-explanatory. You can find a list of what the prompts are for each daily photo in that announcement. Now, the cool thing about this Spookathon is that it's based off of movies that we may have grown up knowing about, or some that we haven't watched before. Different varieties of spookiness as well. I am myself very I love the spooky season, but I'm not into scary movies whatsoever, so I've definitely not watched a lot of the movies on this list, but I think it's great that there's a lot of variety to the prompts, that even if you are like me and get very frightened easily by horror movies, that you can still fulfill the prompt, and it's open to your interpretation. So there are 8 movies, and they each have a prompt with 2 parts to it, so you have a lot of option to be able to fulfill that movie. And so I have got my list here printed out so I can go through it real quick with you all and show you what I'm going to read over the month of October. I have quite a few ebooks on this list, mostly because I have a lot of things that I need to get fulfilled, and also because I don't have a copy of them yet. So let's get into the first movie, and that is Practical Magic. I haven't seen this movie. I know that is going to be very controversial. There are a lot of movies on this list that I actually haven't seen, so I'm not a movie buff. But anyway, the attached prompts for Practical Magic are magical realism or family bonds. So I've chosen to read for this The King of Fairy. It is the 4th book in the 𝓬𝓲 series by A.J. Lancaster. She is a New Zealand author, and I am very thrilled that I am able to follow along closely with her writing journey. And the reason I am picking this up for this prompt is twofold. It really fits the family bond aspect, and I think magical realism, because it is set in a world and a country where we can relate to it. Feels very industrial revolution period. It's a gaslamp fantasy, so, or manners of fantasy of manners, sorry. So you can sort of understand that the societal constraints of that period of time are in play in this book, but also it's because I am on the ARC list for the next book that comes out in October, and so I have just finished The Court of Mortals, which is book 3. Absolutely loved it, gave it 5 stars. I'm eager to start The King of Fairy as soon as possible, and so that is what I'm going to do for this prompt. The second movie on the list is Hocus Pocus, and I am so excited that we're getting a second movie in this world. Hocus Pocus is one of my favourite Halloween movies. We watch it almost every single year, and I cannot wait to watch both movies in the next few days. I'm filming this on the last day of September. I think it comes out today, but we're watching it in the weekend, and I'm so excited. But this is definitely a great movie and a great set of prompts, because we have a curse and or witches, and I have chosen this lovely book here, This Vicious Grace by Emily Theed. Is that how you say it? Hopefully it is. You may have seen this on my previous TBR lists. I've really wanted to get to this many times, and I've just not gotten to it. I am finally going to get to it this month. I asked Millie if she could recommend any of the prompts that this would fit into, because I really wanted to make it work, and she did. She came through. She said a curse would work, and this follows along about now what is her name? I have forgotten. Elisa. She has a gift that can be quite lethal to people, and because of that gift, she's being hunted down. So she employs Dante as her bodyguard, and it is very, very compelling. From what I've heard. I'm so excited to get to this book, and hopefully it'll be another 5-star read. It is a 5-star prediction for me. The next movie is one of my all-time favourites, and it is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh my god, I've watched this so many times. We sing the song all the time. Halloween isn't complete unless we watch this movie, and we also try to watch it on Christmas Eve, because obviously the title. It's just one of our favourites. And the 2 prompts that are attached to this movie are reluctant hero and or morally grey characters. And if you didn't know that I'm the biggest fan of this morally grey character, then I have not done you the proper justice of knowing, because I am obsessed with Jax from the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber, and this is book 2, and I'm so happy to have a copy of it. I actually have a special edition on its way as well. This is the second book, like I said, in the series, and she's just announced that it's going to be a trilogy, which I'm so excited about because I loved Caraval by this author. It is one of my absolute favourite book series that I've ever read, and this one is just as good. I'm so excited to get into this. So if you do not know what this is about, Jax is a fate. He is the Prince of Hearts, and he has a lethal kiss. If he kisses you, you will die unless you are his true love. But there was a lot more in play in this series. It's actually narrated by Eva Angeline, and she has a very hopeful way of seeing the world. She believes that anything can have a happy ending. She is way too optimistic and a dreamer, which is wonderful to see in a character. And we are now going to be following on with what happened at the end of Once Upon a Broken Heart into this one. I do know that this one's a lot angstier, and I have seen a small amount of spoilers about this book, which left me going, oh my god, what is going to happen? And I cannot wait to get to this. This was supposed to be read last month, but I decided to hold over when I saw the prompts were going to be morally grey. This is the only character that comes to mind when I think of those words straight away, so I had to hold over. And I'm so excited. I will let you know how it goes. Again, another 5-star prediction. So the next movie on the list is The Addams Family, and this is one of the most iconic Halloween movies for me. I love Wednesday Addams with all my heart, and this is a great movie. And the prompts that go with this movie are magical family and or sibling rivalry. Now, I was going to put The King of Fairy here because there is sibling rivalry in that, but I decided to go with magical family, and we are reading the final book in the Howl's Moving Castle series, or the Land of Ungary, and that is by Diana Wynne Jones. I am hosting the buddy read for this. I've hosted the last 2 in the series. We didn't really enjoy book 2, and I didn't the first time around when I read it either, but this is the last book in the series, and I remember it being just wonderful. And so the reason I chose Magical Family for this is because we have Hal, Sophie, and their son, Morgan. So they are very much so a magical family. And this is about a house that is just so fantastic. And is it Charmaine Baker? She is the main character, and she is entrusted in looking after her uncle's house, and it's very odd. And there are creatures, there are just so many whimsical things that happen in this book, and I remember just loving every moment of it the first time I read it years ago, and I'm very excited to get back into it. I don't think it'll be as top tier as Howl's Moving Castle has been for me, so perhaps I'm thinking it'll be about a 4-star prediction, but either way, I'm just really excited to get to this final book in the series. The next movie on the list, I think, is called Ginger Snap, and the prompt for that is werewolves or shifters and or coming of age. I've not seen this movie. I've never even heard of it, and I had to again enlist some advice from Millie about what to put here, and she was very helpful, and she offered me one of the books that is on my list that I really wanted to read, which is Dark Knight Golden Dawn by 𝓤𝓲𝓭 𝓤𝓲𝓭. I'm really butchering that last name, so I'm going to put it on the screen. You can see it on the book cover, and this is the synopsis real quick, because I actually cannot remember what exactly about this book is the reason the prompt is fulfilling, so let's give it a go. In a city where the elite are powerful as gods, the season is about to begin. The immortal orders will gather, peer, and create a spectacle for all of 𝓤𝓲𝓭 to witness. Harlow Crane is a sorcerer who wants nothing more than to recover from her most recent breakup in peace. When the season begins, her order needs her help to save the ancestral occult district from being taken over by the Illuminated, the most powerful immortals in 𝓤𝓲𝓭. I hope I'm saying that right. Maybe it's Troy. Anyway, they offer to back off if Harlow agrees to pair with their most eligible bachelor, Finn McKay. But Harlow has been burned by Finn Finn McKay is one of the illuminated, rich, powerful, and he isn't afraid of anyone except for his parents. When they push him towards 𝓸𝓷, he knows their purposes are sinister at best. For the past 7 years, Finn has done everything in his power to stay away from 𝓸𝓷, and he won't break his resolve now, even if it means defying his parents. As the season begins, it's clear something is dangerously wrong, but besides Finn, only 𝓸𝓷 seems to notice. With magic behaving strangely, the balance of power between the immortal orders and humans grow deadlier by the day. 𝓸𝓷 and Finn must work together to keep ancient grudges from resurfacing and take back their lives in the process. If they can get over their past, the world may have a brighter future. And I've heard nothing but amazing reviews about this book. A lot of my friends have given it 5 stars and have begged me to read it, and I wanted to get a physical copy of it before I did, but I decided that I would use it for this prompt as Millie gave me the option for it. I think this one has either werewolves or shifters in it. That's why it fits this prompt. I really can't remember why she mentioned it to me, but I'm really excited for this. It sounds really interesting. Book 2 is on the way already, and I think now is the right time to pick this one up. The next movie on the list is An Interview with the Vampire, but I haven't seen this movie, and the prompts are obviously vampires and or dark and mysterious, and I have gone with an arc that I have to read. So this will be the first one that I read in the month because it comes out on the 4th of October, and it is called When Life Gives You Vampires by Gloria Duke, and it is marketed as a paranormal dumpling for adults. And it is it sounds really cute. So again, I'll read you the synopsis really quick. It says 25-year-old Lily Baines is used to waking up hungover, overweight and underemployed. Waking up with fangs, not so much. But when it turns out a little light nicking has more serious consequences than she's ever imagined, Lily's determined to get to the bottom of it. Tristan hadn't meant to turn Lily. It's against vampire law, but now that she's here, they need to team up to save their hides. They strike a truce, fending off other vampires, Lily's work rivals turned slayer, and her mother's tone-deaf romance and fitness advice. All while Lily faces down her insecurities about the fact that she lives in a diet-obsessed world with a body that will never age, never die, and never change. Can she learn to love the plus-size woman she'll forever be? Oh, sorry, she'll be forevermore. And I really hope this turns out to be quite cute. It has very mixed results. So when I applied for this arc, it was very many months ago, and they had a rule that we didn't know until I got the email that we weren't allowed to read it and review until within a month of release, and that meant that I've just put it off way too long, and now we're at crunch time. So because it's got vampires in it, I'm going to read it. I don't really have too many expectations. It sounds quite predictable, but we'll see how it goes. The next prompt is Halloween, and I do not watch horror or scary movies, so another movie that I haven't watched. And the prompts for this movie are a killer and or small town setting, and for small town setting I've gone with The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon, and I have waited for this book to come out all year long. As soon as I read the synopsis for this book, I knew that I wanted to read it as a physical copy, and I knew that I was going to love it. It's being marketed as, if you love Howl's Moving Castle, you will love this book, and as a huge fan of the Howl's Moving Castle movie and book, I knew that I had to read this. So this follows Heart and Mercy, and Heart is an undertaker, I believe, or is it, no, sorry, Mercy's the undertaker, isn't she? Yes, she is an undertaker, and Heart is a marshal, and they basically hate each other, but they become entangled in each other's lives in a way that they wouldn't have expected. They started writing to each other, and so they're unexpected pen pals, and I think this is just going to be really whimsical and delightful. I'm so excited for this book, and how beautiful is the cover. This is another 5-star prediction. A lot of the books on this list are 5-star predictions for me, so I'm hoping to have a really great and high rating filled October. And last on the movie prompt list is It and you guessed it, I haven't watched this movie. So the prompts for this one is nightmarish villain / and or a group of friends, and I'm going with the group of friends for all of us villains, and I think they're all villains as well, so it works quite well. I believe this is kind of like Hunger Games, where it is a fight to where are we? Yeah, there's a tournament involved, and there's a champion, and there's a group of people in this that will have to fight their way through to win. And I have heard nothing but great reviews about this book from friends. And book 2 is already out. I think it's something All of Our Demise or something along those lines. I see it at the store every time I go there, and I really want to pick it up, but I haven't yet read this book, so I want to do that. This has a lot of magic in it as well, so I'm very excited to see how magic will play into the tournament and how deadly it can get. This is just one of the books that has sat on my shelf for an entire year, and I really want to get through it before the spooky season is out. And quickly, the final 2 books on my list to read over October are The Book of Night by Holly Black. This was supposed to be read over September. I didn't get to it. Definitely going to do it next month. And it also could cover vampire / dark and mysterious, with the dark and mysterious side of things. So if I don't enjoy When Life Gives You Vampires, I have a backup. I did talk about this book in my last TBR hopeful video, but basically it follows Charlie, and she is in a world where your shadow can be manipulated, brought, taken from you, changed, and many things, and there's murders that are happening in this, so it's very dark, but it sounds very interesting. I love Holly Black's way of writing, so let's hope that this one is a great book, because I absolutely love the Folk of the Air series by this author. And the second book you can see is Defy the Night, and I'm using that to represent Defend the Dawn. Again, Defend the Dawn was on my list to read this month, but the physical copy hasn't come in yet, and I've actually had to order it online. We were expecting it to come in store, and it was released on the 20th, and there's still been no stock. So I've had to order in from Amazon, and hopefully it'll get here very soon, and I can read this. I can confirm that Millie, who, like I talk about a lot in this video, has read this, and she is urging me to read it. Not that she needed to give me any encouragement, because last year I read Defy the Night and gave it 5 stars. It's one of my absolute favourite books. It is the reason why I went and picked up all of the Curse Breakers series by the same author, Bridget Kemmermere, and I also bought her new book as well this year, the other one in that new setup of that world. So yeah, very excited for the Defend the Dawn. It's been on my list, my anticipated list, for the longest time, and now that it's here and it's going to be in my hand eventually, I'm going to read it. So those are the final 2 books on my 10 books that I'm going to read over the month of October. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video with me today. Are you reading any of these books over the month of October? Have you read any of these books? If so, let me know what you thought of them in the description. in the comments below. Thank you again for putting up with the fact that I'm sick and very nasally, and any noises that may be in the background with my dog. I do appreciate it. I will be back with the wrap up of the month of September in my bullet journal, reading journal, very soon, so do check that out. My October setup for the reading journal is already up on the channel. It will be hopefully showing up on the screen for you right now when you watch this. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you're all well, much better than me, and I'll see you all in a new video sometime very soon. Bye everyone.